We have here verse 31 of the 8th chapter, the Gospel of John. John has just told us that as Jesus was carrying on his conversation with the religious leaders, that many of those who were standing there hearing him, presumably not participating necessarily in this conversation, but simply witnessing it, were brought to faith. They heard the words of Jesus, and it was so compelling to them that Jesus becomes the object of their faith, and John advises us of that. But then we have a bit of a word of warning here as Jesus addresses himself to these, apparently recognizing that their faith had been entrusted in him. He nevertheless wants to make it clear that simply an instant of faith is not really the compelling point. It's not really the proof, actually, that there is such a thing as genuine faith. And so he makes this statement, which is really consonant with much of what we hear in the New Testament. Elegan, this is from lego, I say, this is third person singular, imperfect, active indicative. So he was saying, un, postpositive conjunction. He was saying, therefore, ho Jesus, Jesus, the subject of the verb, Jesus was saying. And then pros is a little bit more forceful. It suggests saying something with some degree of vigor, some degree of focus. Normally we might have simply the dative here, which would be more just the indirect object, but now this word suggests he's saying it, if you can imagine, a kind of looking in their eyes, wanting to drive the point home. Jesus said therefore, or was saying therefore, tous, the accusative, plural, masculine article, and then it goes with pepistukotos. This is from pistuo. It means I believe. This happens to be the perfect active participle, masculine, plural, accusative, so it goes with the tous here. The idea of these who had believed in him, the passive or the past participle, suggesting those who had come to believe in him, and then the auto is normally used with pistuo, so believe him. Interestingly, not saying believe in him, but now a little bit of a less focused sort of statement. He said to those who had believed him, Udaios, the Jews. So there were some who had believed in him, and there were some possibly who heard his words and believed them, but had not come to a point of full and robust faith. And so he wants to make it clear to them. And then ian, normally used with the subjunctive, which is what we have here. So ian humes, the second person plural nominative pronoun, and the fact that it's present again is intended to put emphasis on it. So if you, he says, looking at them, meneta is the second person plural aorist active subjunctive. It goes with ian. So if you remain, or if you abide, if you continue, it's from meno, I abide or and remain. If you remain in, preposition takes the dative. Here's the dative article, in to logo, in the word, and then in apposition to it, to emo, the of me word. A little bit stronger than simply to logo mu, my word. If you remain in the word, the belonging to me word. Again, giving some additional emphasis to it. Then alethos, truly. This alethos is the adverb, indeclinable, truly, mathetai, disciples, mu of me est, you are. So the test, of course, for the authenticity of their faith was not simply a matter of whether they had believed him or believed his words, or even in a kind of momentary flash, really moved to the point of almost believing in him, you might say. But the real test in the New Testament is abiding in Christ. The person who is truly going to be the one who is regenerate is the one who continues on and on. There's a constancy to their faith. And of course, the New Testament bears this out on multiple occasions, that the more important concern is the staying power of this faith rather than simply whether there was a flash in the pan, as it were, a moment of faith at some point in a person's history.